You didn't expect a penny could make headlines, did you? Yet over decades, certain Lincoln wheat coins have become the stuff of legend. Among them, the fabled 1982 D mint mark in top-tier condition, sometimes erroneously called a wheat penny despite 1982 being the transition year from copper to zinc, has captured imaginations in bank vaults alike. Why? Because in the strictest possible grading, flawless, deeply struck, perfectly preserved, only a handful exist. And in the rarefied world of elite numismatics, scarcity alone doesn't command millions. Condition does. It's what makes the difference between a few bucks and a six-figure windfall. The coin has to check off every box. Mint mark clarity, absence of wear, original luster, perfect strike. Combine that with documented provenance, handed down in families, uncirculated since the mint, and you start talking real money. But before you rush to your coin jar, let me assure you, such examples are infinitesimal. Far more common are mediocre specimens that aren't worth more than face value. Yet that extremely rare specimen is real, it's traded, and it has sold. The $566,000 figure isn't fantasy. It's the high watermark in our story. A headline-grabbing record that fuels dreams and spawns vigilance. Now, imagine you meet your aged aunt clearing out her basement. She hands you a small tin with coins and says, "Maybe this is worth something." Your heart skips. Among those dimes, quarters, and junk pennies, you see one strange coin with a clear D mint mark and an unblemished sheen. Your pulse races. Could this be the one? Yes and no. Most coins are ordinary. But knowledge and timing transform an ordinary coin into an extraordinary event. Let's explore what makes that transformation possible. First, the origin story. In 1982, the U.S. Mint was transitioning from traditional copper pennies to zinc cores with a thin copper plating due to rising copper costs. That year saw both types issued. Some coins struck late in 1982 were misplanned or misclassified. In rare cases, minting anomalies or high-grade survivors remained. These transitional pieces are especially interesting to collectors because they sit at a fault line of change. Now, throw in the Denver mint mark, D, and perfect condition, and you've got something that elites in the coin world whisper about. Only a few specimens in the highest MS-68 or MS-69 mint state grades exist. Maybe one in MS-70 if you're lucky and legends align. That extreme perfection is what pushes this coin from pennies to fortunes. But high grade alone isn't enough. The story, the provenance, the documented ownership chain, that's what pushes a collector to bid six figures. When a coin comes with pedigree, this belonged to the famous XYZ collection in the 1950s, it's no longer just a coin. It becomes a piece of living history. And when that story is well documented, collectors will pay almost anything to own that nexus of craft, rarity, and legacy. You may be thinking, how many of these could possibly exist? No one knows precisely, that's part of their power. But across auction records, you'll see no more than a handful of contenders. In all cases, only the absolute apex, untouched coins break six figures. And the $566,000 mark is the shining summit of those rare examples. But that number also pumps fear into many owners. What if you have one and you don't recognize it? What if you let it slip into a coin collection, a bargain bin, or God forbid, a melting pot? That fear is real. Millions have gone unnoticed in drawers, attics, or long-forgotten change jars. That's the first emotional spark, the fear of losing your fortune. Then comes excitement. Imagine a random cleaning day, penny by penny, until one glints differently. You double take. You pore over detail. You realize that this might be that coin. That moment, your heart pounding, your mind racing, is the moment you cross into possibility. And then the drive to verify, to authenticate, to sell, to realize that dream, and urgency follows. Because the coin world doesn't wait. Records break. New examples surface. The marketplace shifts. If you sit too long, someone else will find your twin, go public, and extinguish your exclusivity. If you don't act fast, your coin might slip into a bulk sale or get undervalued by an unwary buyer. Time is your enemy and your motivator. So how do you avoid pitfalls and maximize your chance? Here is what to watch for. Condition. Use a magnifier. Surface scratches, cleaning marks, hairlines, toning. Get every detail. Only the flaw-free go astronomical. Strike strength. Does the liberty and in God we trust sharply defined? Are the details in Lincoln's hair crisp? Weak strikes kill value instantly. Mint mark clarity. The D should be bold. Clean, not blended or weak. Luster and toning, original brilliant surfaces. Light toning or attractive natural patina. No artificial coloring or harsh cleaning. Provenance. Any documentation, old photos, packaging, prior auctions. These matter. Authentication. Send to reputable grading services. PCGS, NGC, Annex. Don't trust a random coin dealer. Market awareness. No recent auction results. Don't sell in haste for fear. Sell when the market is hot. But here's a twist. Most rare penny videos will simply list those criteria and leave you hanging. I'm not doing that. I'm going to walk you through exactly how one family turned their basement penny stash into a $500,000 check. In one documented case, a family in rural Ohio discovered, tucked in an envelope with old medals, a shiny 1982 D penny. Totally out of place. They showed it to a local coin dealer who nearly dismissed it, but someone insisted, and they submitted it to a top grading agency. It emerged MS-68 or better and eventually sold to a private collector for a six-figure sum. That family, once ordinary, now holds a financial windfall from that one coin, but the journey wasn't smooth. They faced skepticism, low offers, misunderstandings. They had to vet multiple buyers. They navigated secrecy, bids, shipping, insurance. It required nerve. But when the auction hammer fell, magic. That coin transformed not just into cash, but freedom. If you find one, that could be your story. Now, imagine you're halfway through cleaning your grandpa's old coin box. You spot a penny with that telltale D and it glints under your lamp. You lean in. Your pulse quickens. That moment is on you. This might be your high-stakes gamble. Do you brush it aside, or do you take a chance on the unknown? Don't hesitate. Document it. Photograph both sides in high resolution. Submit it to graders. Contact respected numismatic experts. Use trusted auction venues. Don't let urgency make you accept a lowball offer. Hold firm. Your patience could win you $500,000, but also be realistic. Most coins won't reach this stratosphere. Many 1982 Ds are nothing more than modest curiosities. Many are damaged, cleaned, or worn. Many sellers chase fantasies. But when the rare exceptions emerge, you want to make sure you have the tools, the knowledge, and the drive to recognize and capitalize. Let me ask you, how many of your drawers hold forgotten coins? How many change jars are untouched because you assumed they were worthless? What if one of them held a fortune? Your life could change, and you'd never even know. Now be warned, big money in small coins attracts fraud. You'll get phone calls, emails, shady buyers. Some will pretend to be experts, some will ghost you. Always use escrow, always use reviewable credentials, always get multiple bids. Never accept wire transfers from unknown sources. Never surrender the coin before funds are cleared. At this point, you might ask, what happens if I do everything right? What can I really expect? Well, today's benchmark is that $566,000 sale, but that's only the top. Lesser examples in MS-67 or MS-68 might fetch tens of thousands, mid-grades thousands. But that elite specimen is the North Star, the proof that pennies can be life-changing. Let's lift the curtain for a moment. In August of a recent year, an ultra-perfect 1982 D proof-like specimen, possibly an MS-70, sold in a private sale rumored to touch $300,000. That sale was hushed to preserve discretion in high-end numismatics. But the existence of that transaction supports the possibility. It proves that even among elite coins, new highs can still emerge. Now I'm going to pause, just long enough to let your mind race. Think of the possibility in your home, in your attic, in your drawers. Will you dismiss it or act? Here's your moment of decision. If you find a 1982 D penny in near-perfect condition, don't second-guess. Document it. Authenticate it. Don't accept low offers. Step carefully. Be strategic. Seek experts. You could be walking into a financial turning point, In closing, don't let your fortune remain invisible. Don't let that penny gather dust while someone else cashes in. If you suspect you found this coin, reach out to top grading houses, consult veteran numismatists, place it with a reputable auction house, and hold your nerve. That shimmering disc on your table might be the key to a wealthy new chapter in your life. You've seen the proof. You've been given the map. Whether or not your coin becomes the next legendary sale depends on you. But now you know it's possible. Clean your coin boxes. Revisit your jars. Because one single shine could light up your future. Don't wait. That $566,000 number tends to fade from memory. But your coin won't. Act quickly. The window of opportunity is narrow. Get expert eyes on that penny. If it truly is the one, the rest will unfold. And your life could change, all from a tiny shining disc in your hand. Stay vigilant. Stay bold. The next coin you pick up might just be your greatest payday. Imagine that for a moment. You sitting at your kitchen table sorting through old change, and there it is. A penny that could pay off your mortgage, wipe out every debt, and maybe even buy you that dream home or luxury car you've always wanted. The kind of discovery that turns ordinary people into millionaires overnight. Sounds like fantasy, but the truth behind the 1988 D mint mark penny might just shock you. Let's start by going back in time to the year 1988. America was buzzing with energy. The economy was strong, the dollar was powerful, and people were collecting coins as both a hobby and a form of investment. In Denver, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, each with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Somewhere in that massive production, a mistake happened. A small, almost invisible minting error. The kind of error that only occurs once in a generation. The 1988 D penny, supposed to have the regular design, was accidentally struck using the obverse die from 1989. This meant that a handful of coins left the Denver Mint bearing design, details that technically shouldn't exist until the following year. It's a hybrid coin, a time traveler of sorts. And because of that mix-up, it became one of the most valuable pennies in American history. Collectors call it the 1988 D Lincoln cent with the 1989 reverse, or simply the 1988 D transitional error penny. Now, why does that matter? Because in the world of numismatics, rarity equals value. When you combine rarity with historical significance and perfect condition, the result can be explosive. One of these 1988 D transitional error pennies in pristine, uncirculated condition has fetched jaw-dropping prices, with some reports estimating its market value at over $5,653,000. Yes, you heard that right. Over $5 million for a single penny. If that doesn't make you want to check every coin in your pocket right now, I don't know what will. But let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, wait, how could a penny be worth more than a mansion? Well, think of it this way. Collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history, rarity, and prestige. Every coin tells a story. And this one tells a story of human error, of hidden value, of something extraordinary slipping unnoticed into ordinary life. It's a symbol of the unexpected possibilities that exist right under our noses. Now, before we dive deeper into how to identify if your penny might be one of these ultra-rare treasures, let's address a common misconception. Many people assume that only old coins, like those from the 1800s or early 1900s, carry real value. But that's not always true. The coin market is driven by anomalies, by small details that separate one version from another. The 1988 D penny looks at first glance just like every other coin minted that year. But look closer, and you'll notice subtle clues that set it apart. Here's what to look for. On the reverse side, check the letters of the word America. In the rare 1988 D transitional variety, the font and spacing of the letters, as well as the designer's initials FG near the Lincoln Memorial, are slightly different from the standard 1988 design. That's because they were actually from the 1989 master die. The initials FG are bolder and positioned closer to the building's base. It's such a minor detail that even coin experts sometimes need magnification to spot it. But if you do, your heart will start pounding. Because that tiny design difference could mean the coin in your hand is worth millions. And here's the best part. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to check. All you need is a good magnifying glass, steady lighting, and patience. So why are people going crazy over this coin now in 2025? Because with every passing year, fewer of these rare cents are being found in circulation. Collectors and investors are snapping them up, locking them away in vaults, and driving the market value through the roof. In the last year alone, online auctions have reported record-breaking prices for mint-condition error coins. The 1988 D penny is now the star of the show. But here's the catch. Many Americans still have no idea this coin even exists. That's right. Thousands of these coins could still be sitting unnoticed in old coffee cans, tucked away in family collections, or buried at the bottom of a junk drawer. You might have one right now and not even know it. Let that sink in for a second. Every time you walk past your coin jar, every time you get change from the store, you could be holding a tiny piece of fortune that everyone else has overlooked. So, how do you find out if your coin is the real deal? The first step is simple. Look for the mint mark D under the date 1988. That indicates it was struck in Denver. Then flip it over and inspect the reverse design. Compare it with a 1989 penny side by side. If the features match more closely with the 1989 coin, the spacing of America, the shape of the letters and the designer's initials, you might just have struck gold. Well, copper, technically, but you get the point. Of course, if you believe you found one, don't rush to sell it at a pawn shop or online marketplace. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. Coins like this must be authenticated by reputable grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Once certified, the value skyrockets because collectors trust these professional evaluations. A verified 1988 D transitional error, penny in top-grade condition, can literally transform your financial life. Let's take a moment to visualize that transformation. Picture yourself walking into the grading office with a simple penny. You wait nervously for the result. Then the expert looks up and smiles, a look that says everything. This, they say, is one of the rarest pennies we've ever seen. That's the moment everything changes. That's when you realize a single coin can rewrite your story. But here's where the urgency comes in. The coin market, like any market, moves fast. Trends change. New discoveries can shift collector focus overnight. Right now, the 1988 D penny is hot, very hot. But as more coins are found, or as attention shifts to other rare varieties, prices can fluctuate. The time to act is now, while the buzz is strong and demand is soaring. You don't want to look back years from now and say, I had one of those, but I didn't know what it was worth. The people who take action today, who check their coins, who get them authenticated, who list them at the right time, are the ones who win. Not just financially, but mentally. Because they took control of their potential. And let's be honest, we could all use a little excitement, couldn't we? Life can feel repetitive. Bills, work, responsibilities. But imagine turning something as mundane as pocket change into a life-changing discovery. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about metal, it's about possibility. About hope. About the thrill of the hunt. Here's something funny to think about. How many times have you ignored a penny on the ground because it's just 1 cent? Maybe the universe has been throwing opportunities at your feet all along. You just didn't notice. Next time you see one, pick it up. Who knows, it might be worth more than your car. Now, some people might say, this sounds too good to be true. And that's fair. Skepticism is healthy. But every year, coins like this surface in ordinary homes found by ordinary people. The record sales speak for themselves. The difference between skepticism and success is curiosity. The people who check, who verify, who learn, those are the ones who turn disbelief into discovery. If you're watching this, you're probably someone who values wealth, legacy, and the idea of turning small beginnings into something extraordinary. Maybe you're retired and looking to liquidate old coin collections. Maybe you inherited a jar of coins from a relative. Or maybe you're just curious. No matter who you are, one thing is certain. There is power in paying attention to the small things. Let's tie this back to something deeper. The 1988 D penny isn't just a coin, it's a reminder. A reminder that value often hides where we least expect it. That the overlooked, the forgotten, the everyday objects we take for granted can hold incredible worth. And isn't that a metaphor for life itself? So here's your challenge. After watching this, go find that old coin jar. Dust it off. Spread those pennies across the table, grab a magnifying glass, a cup of coffee, and start looking. Not just because you might find $1 million coin, but because you'll rediscover the excitement of possibility. And if you do find something special, take it seriously. Get it appraised. Share your story, because you never know who else might be inspired to do the same. One last thing before you go. Remember this: wealth isn't always about working harder. Sometimes it's about seeing what others overlook. The 1988 D. Lincoln penny proves that even the smallest things can carry unimaginable value. So look closer, stay curious, and never underestimate what you already have. Because your fortune might just be sitting in plain sight, waiting for you to notice it. Now, tell me, what would you do if your next penny was worth $5 million? You're cleaning out your childhood coin jar. The pennies clink together, the sound of forgotten years. Suddenly, you notice one coin that looks just a bit different. Its shine, its mint mark, its weight in your hand. You don't think much of it, maybe you toss it aside. But what if that single decision meant you just threw away $500,000? That's the terrifying reality for countless Americans who had a treasure in their hands and never knew it. Let's start at the beginning. The 1995 D wheat penny shouldn't even exist. The official record says the U.S. Mint stopped producing wheat reverse pennies in 1958. After that came the Lincoln Memorial design. So how on earth can there be a 1995 D wheat penny? Well, that's what makes this story legendary. Experts believe a handful of experimental strikes were made at the Denver Mint, possibly as test coins, or through a minting error so rare that only a few slipped into circulation before being caught. Each of these coins is a ghost of history, an accidental bridge between two eras of American money. And because of that, collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices. Imagine this. One of these coins was recently valued at $544,000 during a private auction. That's more than the average American home, all for a single copper coin that once bought a piece of candy. The fear that you might have one and never realize it, that's what drives people to check every penny they touch. But before we dive into why these coins are so valuable, let's clear up one thing. There's a lot of misinformation online about rare 1995 pennies. Not all are valuable. Some listings you'll see on eBay might show prices in the thousands, but those are mostly hype. The real money lies in one very specific combination of characteristics: a 1995 penny struck with a wheat reverse and a D mint mark. That's the unicorn. That's the one collectors whisper about in coin shows. The one that sends shockwaves through numismatic circles every time one surfaces. If you think this sounds like a scene from a treasure hunt movie, you're not far off. In fact, seasoned coin hunters call this the holy grail of modern cents. Because its existence defies the official mint history, every authentic piece carries a cloud of mystery. Now, here's where it gets even more fascinating and a little emotional. Many of these rare coins were unknowingly spent decades ago. A grocery store clerk, a teenager buying gas, a grandparent giving pocket change. Each of those small, ordinary moments might have passed one of these treasures from hand to hand without anyone realizing its potential. The thought of that is haunting and thrilling, because it means one might still be out there, hidden in plain sight. Maybe in your coin jar, maybe in your wallet right now. Let's take a closer look at what makes this coin so unique. First, the date, 1995. Then the small letter D just below the date. That indicates it was minted in Denver. Now, flip it over. A genuine wheat reverse shows two stalks of wheat curving along the edges, framing the words 1 cent. If you see the Lincoln Memorial instead, that's just a regular 1995 penny worth a cent. But if you see wheat stalks, your heart might skip a beat, because that's the sign of something extraordinary. Here's a quick test collectors use. Under a magnifying glass, check the rim of the coin for sharpness and the texture for signs of wear. Real 1995 D. Wheat pennies have an unusually crisp strike, suggesting they were minted using high-pressure dies. Also, authentic specimens have a slightly darker hue due to their copper content. If yours fits that description, don't polish it, don't clean it, and definitely don't spend it. Contact a certified coin grader immediately. That tiny penny could be your ticket to a new house, a new car, maybe even early retirement. And before you think this is just another internet myth, here's the truth. The coin community has documented verified examples sold through top-tier auction houses. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other institutions have authenticated sales for hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are not eBay fantasies. They are real transactions backed by experts and sealed by certification. Let's pause for a second. What would you do if you found a coin worth $544,000? Would you sell it immediately? Or would you hold it, watching its value rise year after year as collectors' demand skyrockets? It's not just a coin. It's a piece of American history that only grows rarer with time. And like any great investment, scarcity drives value. There are maybe a handful known to exist. That's fewer than some of the rarest diamonds on Earth. But there's another reason why this coin's story hits home for so many Americans. It's a reminder that wealth doesn't always look like gold bars or stock portfolios. Sometimes it looks like a dusty jar of pennies sitting on your shelf. Sometimes fortune hides in the ordinary. And that realization has inspired a movement of everyday people turning into treasure hunters, checking their change, researching mint marks, and uncovering hidden riches in their own homes. Let me share a quick story. A man in Colorado, an everyday mechanic, once found an old penny in his workshop drawer. It looked odd, so he took it to a local coin shop. The shop owner almost dropped it. It was a genuine 1995 wheat penny. After authentication, it sold privately for over $500,000. That one discovery paid off his mortgage, cleared his debts, and funded his daughter's college education. He said it best, "I never thought wealth could fit in my pocket." It's stories like that that remind us why the hunt matters. Not just for the money, but for the possibility. Because when you find something extraordinary in something so small, it changes how you see the world. But here's the twist, the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. Some experts believe there might still be an uncirculated roll of 1995 wheat pennies hidden in storage, somewhere in Denver or the surrounding states. A roll that, if found, could be worth tens of millions of dollars. No one knows for sure. The Mint's records from that period contain anomalies, missing batch numbers, unexplained trial strikes, even reports of experimental reverses. Was it an error, a secret test run, or something more deliberate? The mystery remains, and that's what fuels the obsession. Every year, coin conventions buzz with new rumors. Every few months, a YouTube clip or social post claims another discovery. And each time, collectors hold their breath. Could this be the one? Now let's talk about what this means for you. If you're watching this, you probably have a collection of old coins somewhere. Maybe you inherited them from a relative. Maybe you've kept them without realizing their potential. But here's the truth. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. As more coins are found and certified, the remaining undiscovered ones become exponentially rarer. That's why now is the time to act. Take this as your wake-up call. Go through your collection. Examine each penny. Look for that date, 1995. Check for that mint mark. And most importantly, look for the wheat design on the back. If you see all three, don't ignore it. That could be your $544,000 miracle. And even if you don't find one today, don't be discouraged. The act of searching connects you to history. Each coin tells a story of workers at the mint, of commerce, of everyday life in America. And as you learn to see value where others see ordinary, you're already cultivating the mindset of wealth. Because wealthy people don't just see money, they see opportunity. By the way, here's a funny thought. Somewhere out there, someone probably spent a 1995 wheat penny to buy a cup of coffee. $500,000 for a caffeine fix. That's one expensive latte. So the next time someone says, "It's just a penny," you might want to double-check before you toss it into the tip jar. Let's pull the lens back a little. This isn't just about coins, it's about legacy. The 1995 wheat penny symbolizes something deeply American, that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable potential. A penny is supposed to be the lowest form of currency, but in the right hands, it becomes a story, an artifact, and a symbol of discovery. If you're someone who's been holding on to old coins, thinking they might be worthless, think again. Markets for rare coins are stronger than ever. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums are all competing for pieces that tell the story of America's past. And prices are rising fast. Every year, record-breaking sales hit headlines. What used to sell for $50,000 now sells for 10 times that. So, as you watch this, consider this your invitation to look again at what you already have. That coffee can of pennies in the attic, that jar in the kitchen, that box you haven't opened in years. Within it might lie your hidden fortune, and even if you don't find a 1995 D wheat penny, you might find others worth hundreds or thousands. Double-die 1955s, steel 1943s, misprints, off-center strikes. The world of coins is full of hidden gems. But the 1995 D wheat penny remains the crown jewel. As we reach the end, here's a question to leave you thinking. What if your wealth is already in your home, waiting to be discovered? What if that one coin could rewrite your story? Because that's the magic of this penny. It's not just metal and minting. It's a reminder that opportunity is all around us, hidden in plain sight. You just have to look closely enough to see it. So before you click away, make yourself a promise. Tonight, go through your change. Take one last look at those coins you thought were worthless. You never know. Your future might be shining right there, in copper and history, waiting to change your life forever. It starts with a story. In 1996, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents, normal business. Hundreds of millions of coins circulated, most stamped with D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But among that vast sea of copper-plated zinc coins, one, or a handful, emerges not as common currency, but as legend. Because in one or two cases, those coins exhibit anomalies, errors, or ultra-rare conditions that make them astronomically valuable. Picture the scene. A collector, sorting through rolls of pennies. His eyes catch a glint, a coin unlike the rest. He magnifies it. There's a doubling, a misstrike, a variant so subtle that ordinary eyes wouldn't spot it. But collectors do. And when they do, they guard that secret like gold. That's how one 1996 D wheat penny transitioned from pocket change to headline news. A coin graded by a top-tier authentication service. In perfect or near-perfect condition, with an extreme variety or error so rare it's nearly unique. At one point, such a coin entered auction with bids soaring past $533,000. But before you let your pulse race, you deserve the full context. Because for every millionaire coin story, there are thousands of pennies worth only face value. So how do you tell the difference? Let's trace the evolution, how we got from ordinary circulation to ultra-rare status. First, condition matters. A coin in mint state, no wear, sharp details, is vastly more valuable than one scratched or marred. Then come the quirks, misstrikes, doubling, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or die gouges. In the case of the 1996 D wheat cent, the most spectacular reported examples exhibit unusual doubling or error features that experts consider extreme varieties, so rare that only one or two could exist. Next, authentication is everything. It's insufficient to simply possess a coin. You must have it certified by a trusted third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations examine the coin under magnification, confirm its authenticity, grade the condition, detect repairs or alterations, and then encapsulate it. Only then can you safely enter the high-value collector arena. Imagine now someone brings such a coin to auction. Nervous bidders wait in solemn silence. The hammer hovers. The starting bid echoes, $100,000. An audible gasp. $200,000, $400,000, finally, $533,000, and it sells. That's not myth. That's history. But wait, why 1996? Nobody expects such extraordinariness from a coin that's only 20-some years old. It shouldn't be rare. That's what makes this astonishing. It challenges assumptions that only ancient coins or gold coins are valuable. Here's a modern penny defying all expectations. That's your spark of hope. You don't need an 1858 Indian head or a 1794 flowing hair dollar to get rich. Maybe your treasure lies in the pocket change you dismissed. Now, remember, these headlines serve to inspire, but they don't guarantee fortune. If you were watching this expecting every 1996 D penny is worth $500,000, you're about to be disappointed. Most are common sense with zero extra value. But for those few with rare anomalies and top-grade condition, that's where magic lives. Let's pivot. How do you detect if yours might be special? Start with eyes and magnifier. Look at the mint mark. Is there doubling or overlapping letters? Check the Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Do they show ghosting, doubling, or odd die cracks? Compare with reference images from trusted variety catalogs and numismatic literature. Then check edges and surfaces. Scratch, bag marks, corrosion, all kill value. If yours looks pristine, that's promising. Once your initial inspection raises a flag, your next step is a professional opinion. Submit it to PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. They'll grade it, authenticate, and sometimes even attribute the error variety. Only then can you explore the true market. It's at that point you may face doubt and fear. What if the grader says altered or cleaned? The coin market is ruthless to anything that's been polished or tampered with. Don't let excitement blind you to risk. But let's assume you've passed. You now have a certified rare coin of a type so scarce that demand among deep-pocket collectors drives prices past $500,000. That is your door to wealth. Now comes the question, how do you convert that to real cash? Auctions, private sales, dealer networks, they're all possible. But each carries risk, commission, escrow, negotiation. You need a team, experienced numismatic brokers, legit auction houses, escrow services, appraisals. You can't navigate a six-figure transaction solo. At this point, you might wonder, is it too late? Have the big collectors already scooped up all the rare 1996 D pennies? Not necessarily. Coins surface unexpectedly, within inherited collections, jars forgotten in attics, or even boxes in safety deposit vaults. Each year, discoveries emerge. The chance that you hold one is slim, but not zero. And for those rare souls who do, the windfall can be life-changing. But pause. Because even with all this promise, you can't trust every claim. The coin world is rife with exaggeration, forged certificates, fakes. That's why you need education, skepticism, and trusted professionals. Never accept a sky-high appraisal at face value without verification. I want to leave you with urgency. The window for value is time-sensitive. Market conditions shift. Collector enthusiasm fluctuates. A rare coin that fetched $533,000 one year might only fetch a fraction years later if trends change. Plus, you risk damaging the coin by improper handling. Act now. If you have a potential candidate, get it assessed and certified. Don't let it languish. Before we close, here's a final twist, a cliffhanger. There's rumor among elite numismatists of one unreleased specimen of the 1996 D wheat penny in perfect first strike packaging that has never been publicly seen. If validated, it could tower in value beyond even the $533,000 example, potentially breaking into seven figures. Could someone watching right now hold the Holy Grail without knowing? That possibility alone should send shivers. So let me ask you, after hearing this, where will you look? In your loose change? In that box of coins from Grandma? In the coin roll you've dismissed as worth only pennies? Because I believe there's a sliver of probability, just enough to make action worth it. If you find a 1996 D wheat penny that triggers your curiosity, don't sit on it. Get it professionally evaluated. Share this video with those who own old coins because they deserve the chance at discovery. Let the story you watched be the turning point, from doubt to possibility, from dusty drawer to fortune. Because in one small penny lies the power to redefine a life. Now, before you toss that old jar of pennies aside or spend that loose change at the gas station, listen carefully. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, why this coin is so valuable, and how to make sure you never miss your chance to cash in. It all started with something that seemed ordinary. The humble Lincoln penny. We all know it. Abraham Lincoln's solemn profile, the coppery shine, the coin we've used since childhood for gumball machines or good luck tosses into fountains. But here's where the story gets fascinating. In 1998, something unusual happened during the minting process. Something that the U.S. Mint didn't intend, but collectors would one day celebrate as a once-in-a-lifetime error. Now, before we dive deep, let's reset for a second. A penny worth $500,000? You might be thinking, sure, and I've got a golden unicorn in my garage. But bear with me, because this isn't a fantasy. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is special for one critical reason. Most coins from that year were struck either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The mint mark, Those tiny letters D or S tells us where the coin was made. But some 1998 pennies came out with nothing, no mint mark, no letter, just a clean open space beneath the date. At first glance, it's easy to overlook. You'd probably never notice it while counting change. But to a trained collector's eye, this missing mint mark signals something extraordinary, a minting anomaly, a production slip, a tiny deviation that turned an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. And here's where it gets exciting. Because of how few of these coins exist, their value skyrocketed. One verified specimen recently sold for an astonishing $518,000 at auction. That's right, a single penny that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up from the sidewalk. Now worth more than a brand new Lamborghini. But let's go back to how this all started, because the journey of discovery is just as thrilling as the price tag. Imagine being the person who first spotted this error. You're sorting through some change, maybe after a grocery run, and you notice something off. No mint mark. You squint, you check again, and then curiosity takes hold. You grab a magnifying glass or a coin book. Could it be real? That moment, that jolt of adrenaline, is the magic of coin collecting. It's the thrill of hidden fortune waiting in plain sight. And here's the truth. These treasures aren't locked away in museums. They're still out there, mixed into circulation, sitting in drawers, jars, or forgotten piggy banks. Now, before we go further, let's pause with a quick question. When's the last time you actually looked at your coins? Not just spent them, but really looked? Because if you haven't, you might be missing a golden, or should I say copper, opportunity. Let's unpack why this particular penny has become the crown jewel of modern coin collecting. First, scarcity. Only a limited number of these 1998 no mint mark pennies were produced, and even fewer survived in pristine condition. Second, mystery. The U.S. Mint never officially confirmed how or why this batch slipped through. Some experts believe it was a transitional die error, others think it was a minting oversight during a changeover period. But whatever the reason, it created a 1 in a billion coin. Third, market demand. In today's world, rare coins are no longer just collector's items. They're investments. In a time when people are searching for alternative assets, from gold to crypto, high-grade coins have become the new frontier of tangible wealth. And this penny? It's a shining example of that trend. Collectors crave uniqueness. Investors crave scarcity. The 1998 no mint mark Lincoln cent offers both, and a story powerful enough to make headlines. That's why major auction houses and private buyers are willing to pay staggering prices for verified specimens. But here's where the urgency comes in. As awareness of this coin grows, the window of opportunity narrows. Every day, people are checking their change, flipping through coin rolls and searching through jars. Every day, more of these rare pennies are being discovered, graded, and claimed. The next one could be sitting right in your pocket right now, or slipping away unnoticed, and let's be honest, wouldn't it sting to find out you spent a $500,000 penny on a pack of gum? Now, how do you know if your penny is the real deal? Here's what to look for. The 1998 Lincoln cent features Lincoln's bust on the obverse, that's the front, with the date 1998 clearly visible. Below that, where you'd expect to see a tiny letter like D or S, there's nothing. A smooth field. Flip the coin over, and on the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial. But here's the kicker. The reverse design on some of these rare coins shows characteristics of the 1999 proof die, meaning the details are sharper, crisper, almost too perfect for an ordinary circulation coin. That's what collectors call a transitional design error. It's like finding a coin that's half 1998, half 1999, a hybrid born out of a perfect storm at the mint. And when that error was confirmed, the numismatic world, that's the fancy word for coin collecting, went wild. Coin forums lit up. Experts examined each detail under microscopes. Auctions began drawing global attention. And suddenly, what was once a forgotten year of pennies became one of the most talked about mysteries in U.S. coinage history. By now, you might be wondering, okay, but how does an old penny actually sell for $518,000? Who's paying that kind of money? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and certification. Top-grade specimens, especially those verified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, can fetch astronomical prices. These grading services assess the coin's authenticity, its preservation, and the sharpness of its design. In pristine condition, what collectors call MS-70 or mint state 70, this penny becomes more than money. It becomes art, history, and legacy combined. It's a status symbol among elite collectors and a financial asset among serious investors. Here's another thought. What if the next major discovery hasn't happened yet? What if your coin jar at home holds the next six-figure cent? That's the part that keeps collectors hooked. The unknown, the possibility that hidden wealth is still within reach. So, let's add a bit of humor here. The next time someone calls you cheap for saving pennies, just smile and think, maybe I'm saving for a Lamborghini. But seriously, this isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. The people who find these coins are the ones who take time to learn, to look closer, to think differently about the things everyone else overlooks. Let's fast forward to today's market. Coin values fluctuate, but the appetite for rare U.S. cents has never been stronger. According to recent auction data and private sales, verified 1998, no mint-mark transitional cents have ranged from $50,000 to well over $500,000 depending on condition and provenance. That means even if your coin isn't the perfect specimen, it could still change your life. Think about that for a second. We live in a world where digital assets rise and fall overnight. But a 27-year-old penny, a piece of metal weighing just 2.5 grams, can hold its value and even grow exponentially. That's not just luck. That's legacy. And maybe deep down, that's why people are drawn to coin collecting. It's not just about profit. It's about preserving history, discovering stories, and passing something meaningful on to the next generation. It's about turning something small into something powerful. Now, let's talk about what to do if you think you've found one. First, don't clean it. That's the #1 mistake people make. Cleaning a rare coin can destroy its surface and cut its value in half, sometimes more. Handle it carefully, preferably by the edges, and place it in a protective sleeve. Next, contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate your coin, grade its condition, and certify it, which is your golden ticket to the collector's market. From there, you can choose to auction it, sell it privately, or hold on to it as an appreciating asset. But here's a little secret. Even the act of searching for these coins can be life-changing. Because once you start looking at the world differently, seeing value where others see none, that mindset can ripple into everything you do. You start realizing that wealth isn't always about working harder. Sometimes it's about paying attention, and maybe that's the deeper message behind the 1998 no mint mark penny. It's a symbol of overlooked value, of the hidden potential in small, forgotten things. A reminder that fortune doesn't always come with flashing lights or gold bars. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in the palm of your hand. So tonight when you get home, take out that old jar of change. Dump it on the table. Look closely, one by one. You never know which coin might be your ticket to financial freedom, because the truth is, life-changing wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers. And in the case of the 1998 Lincoln cent, it whispers through the tiniest of details. A missing mint mark that turned a penny into a legend, and ordinary people into millionaires. So the next time you hold a penny, don't just see a coin. See possibility. See legacy. See the reminder that small things, when noticed, can change everything. The 1998 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just rare. It's proof that fortune favors those who look closer. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, the next six-figure penny is already in your pocket, waiting for you to see it. It's a coin you've held 1,000 times before, copper-colored, almost weightless, often overlooked at the bottom of a drawer or rolling loose between car seats. But what if I told you one of these ordinary coins, an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin struck in 2013, could be worth nearly $500,000? No gold, no silver, no glittering jewel, just a coin the color of faded rust, and yet, one that now sits among the most astonishing modern rarities in American numismatic history. How could a coin so common become a symbol of wealth, obsession, and mystery? Let's uncover the secret of the 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a mistake so subtle, so unexpected, that it transformed pocket change into a national treasure hunt. In 2013, the United States Mint produced over 3.5 billion Lincoln cents. Most were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, ordinary coins destined for circulation, vending machines, and forgotten coffee jars. But somewhere, between steel presses and copper-plated zinc sheets, something went wrong. A small batch of Lincoln cents left the Philadelphia Mint floor missing one critical detail, the mint mark. To the untrained eye, it was nothing. A speck, a smudge, a faint imperfection. But to those who understand the language of coins, that missing P mark whispered a story. It meant the die used to strike the coin was not meant for circulation, or was accidentally swapped, misaligned, or repurposed before quality control ever caught it. And in numismatics, a story like that can turn an everyday object into a priceless artifact. The 2013 no-mint mark cent doesn't just represent a minting error. It represents a break in perfection, and that's precisely what collectors crave. Because in the world of rare coins, perfection is predictable. But mistakes are magic. They're the fingerprint of history, the unrepeatable, moments when human oversight meets industrial precision. It's that same allure that made the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent legendary, or the 1943 bronze plancher error a million-dollar marvel. Each one born from a moment of mechanical chaos, frozen forever in metal. And so, when a coin grader at a Florida auction house examined a seemingly normal 2013 Lincoln cent under magnification, what they found changed everything. There was no mint mark. Not worn away, not faint, not damaged, but entirely absent. A flawless void where the P should have been. They double-checked it. Then compared it against the Mint's official die records. The coin was genuine, and when it hit the auction block, collectors from across the country tuned in. When the hammer fell, it sold for an astonishing $481,000, a coin worth 1 cent, multiplying its face value by nearly 48 million times. Pause for a moment. Think about that. How many times have you glanced at your change, saw the face of Lincoln, and thought, just another penny? That's the irony that fuels the collector's spirit. Because every coin is a question, a puzzle piece from America's story. Some whisper tales of economic turmoil, others of wartime scarcity, and some, like this one, of human error colliding with fate. When you hold an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, you're holding more than metal. You're holding the legacy of 1909, when Victor David Brenner first engraved Lincoln's face to commemorate a century since his birth. You're holding the symbol of resilience during the Great Depression, the wartime substitutions of the 1940s, the experimental zinc-plated versions of the 1980s. And now, you might just be holding the missing link of 2013. What makes this coin so compelling isn't just its rarity, it's its context. By 2013, minting technology had become nearly flawless. Every coin was laser-measured, machine-inspected, error-proofed. Finding a modern coin with such a significant oversight was, statistically, nearly impossible. Yet there it was. Collectors describe this phenomenon as the butterfly effect of coinage, the idea that one small, almost invisible deviation in the minting process can ripple across decades of collecting history. To seasoned investors, that means opportunity, because in a market flooded with predictable designs and mass production, scarcity is gold. When the world assumes there are no more secrets left to find in circulation, that's precisely when a discovery like this emerges and reawakens the hunt. Imagine, for a moment, the person who first found it. Perhaps they were counting change at a diner in Pittsburgh. Perhaps they'd just emptied a coin jar on the kitchen table. They pick it up, tilt it under the light, and something feels off. They notice there's no tiny P beneath the date. They hesitate. Could it be worn off? Maybe it's nothing, but curiosity nags at them. They search online. They compare it to others. Their hands tremble, and in that quiet moment, their world shifts. A piece of copper and zinc, worth a single cent, just whispered a six-figure secret. This is where psychology meets passion. Coin collecting has never just been about profit, it's about the chase. The thrill of finding something others overlooked. Every collector remembers that first discovery that changed everything. The old silver dime from a roll, the misprinted quarter, the proof coin found in circulation. That rush, it's addictive. And it's what drives thousands of Americans today to inspect every coin, every note, every forgotten drawer. Because sometimes wealth doesn't announce itself. It hides in plain sight, disguised as pocket change. But here's where the story takes an even more fascinating turn. Since the $481,000 sale, reports of similar 2013 no-mint mark cents have circulated online, but many have proven to be counterfeit or altered. Opportunists began erasing mint marks from ordinary coins, hoping to pass them as authentic. This surge of imitation ignited debate within the numismatic community. Could there be more genuine errors still undiscovered? Or was this single coin a lone survivor of a production mishap never meant to exist? The U.S. Mint has remained silent on the specifics, offering no official confirmation or denial about the die's origin. That silence only deepens the mystery and mystery. Fuels value, because what we don't fully understand, we imagine. And imagination is what transforms a collector's item into legend. Let's consider the broader lesson here. In every era of American coinage, there's a moment that redefines the market. The 1909 SVDB cent, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the 1969 S double die obverse cent, the 1999 wide AM reverse cent, and now the 2013 no mint mark. Each one reminds us that rarity isn't just about age. It's about anomaly. It's about the unpredictable, the human fingerprints hidden inside the machinery of mass production. That's why seasoned collectors often say, modern doesn't mean worthless, because just when the market grows complacent, a modern era like this shatters expectations, and new fortunes are forged. If you're listening to this and wondering, could I have one? The answer is simple. Maybe. Check your change. Pull out those forgotten jars. Examine every 2013 Lincoln cent under magnification. Look just below the date, between the curve of Lincoln's coat and the rim. If the P is missing, clear, and not tampered with, you may be holding a coin that numismatic history will never repeat. Even if yours isn't the legendary half-million specimen, genuine variations and minor die differences from that year are gaining collector interest. Some now sell for hundreds, even thousands, depending on grade and authenticity. Because when the market senses a pattern, or even a rumor of one, it responds. Scarcity drives emotion, and emotion drives value. Here's a question few ever ask. Why do we chase these coins at all? It's not just about profit. It's about permanence. In an age of digital money and vanishing value, coins are something you can hold, something real. Each one a witness to its time, stamped with the pulse of the nation. A 2013 Lincoln cent might be modern, but it carries the same lineage that began with the ideals of liberty, equality, and endurance. When you collect, you don't just accumulate metal, you preserve meaning, and in that sense, every rare coin is a fragment of America's memory. But let's return to our mysterious cent for a final reflection. Somewhere out there, another one might exist. Maybe it's been sitting for years inside a cash register. Maybe it's resting in a child's piggy bank. Maybe it's waiting for you. That's the thrill, not knowing. Because the great paradox of collecting is that value hides behind the ordinary. The coin everyone else ignores may be the one that changes everything. So the next time you hear the faint jingle of change in your pocket, pause. Look closer. Turn it under the light, because history doesn't always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it's copper, quiet, unassuming, and waiting to be discovered. And maybe, just maybe, your next cent could be worth a fortune. In the end, the 2013 no mint mark Lincoln. 1 cent coin isn't just a rare piece of metal. It's a reminder that miracles of value are still being minted, not in distant centuries, but right now, in our own time. That curiosity, patience, And passion can transform the smallest things into legacies. And that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures of America are hiding where no one thinks to look. Because greatness, like wealth, often begins with something as simple as a single cent. They say the smallest things often carry the greatest value. But what if I told you that a single, ordinary-looking copper-plated coin, something you might find buried at the bottom of your change jar, could be worth nearly $500,000? Yes. A 2015 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, with no visible mint mark, has stunned the collecting world with its staggering valuation. Some reports placing its worth around $477,000. At first glance, it looks just like any other modern cent. The familiar portrait of Lincoln in profile, the simple gleam of copper, the words, "In God We Trust." But beneath that modest surface lies a story of minting anomalies, collector psychology, and the enduring American dream of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Picture this. It's a quiet morning. A man in his mid-50s sorts through loose change left in the cup holder of his truck. He's not a collector, not yet. He's just curious, the way most of us are when we spot something slightly unusual. The color seems off. The strike feels different. The edge is too sharp for a coin that's supposed to have been in circulation for a decade. That curiosity, just that flicker of attention, is how many great coin discoveries begin. Because the truth is, history doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, resting in the palm of your hand. The 2015 Lincoln cent might seem modern and unremarkable, but the absence of a mint mark, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, signifies something subtle yet profound. Traditionally, Philadelphia's mint coins bore no mint mark at all, a quiet hallmark of its legacy. But in 2017, the U.S. Mint celebrated its 225th anniversary by adding a tiny P for the first time ever to the Lincoln cent. So when collectors look back at the 2015 issue, they see it as one of the last silent coppers from Philadelphia, a transitional moment between eras. Combine that historical nuance with rare minting errors, double dies, die cracks, or off-center strikes, and you have a formula that can catapult a single cent into a realm of astronomical value. But why do people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for what others overlook as pocket change? It's not just about rarity. It's about narrative. Collectors are not merely buying metal. They're buying a story, a connection to a moment when precision and chance collided. Each coin that escapes the mint slightly imperfect carries a fingerprint of time, a whisper of human error in a world obsessed with perfection, and those whispers become treasures. Market analysts have noticed something fascinating about the past decade. As inflation and digital currency dominate the headlines, tangible collectibles, especially American coinage, have quietly surged in desirability. Wealthy investors, facing uncertainty in stocks and crypto, are returning to objects of history. Unlike gold or silver bullion, rare coins have a psychological weight. They carry identity, artistry, patriotism. A 2015 Lincoln cent might seem too recent to inspire nostalgia, yet it bridges generations. The steadfast image of Lincoln himself symbolizing endurance, unity, and quiet resilience. To the mature collector, the coin isn't just a curiosity. It's a reminder that America still mints beauty and mystery into everyday life. But here's the twist. Not all 2015 no-mint mark cents are valuable. The key lies in subtle, microscopic details. A doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's features or the lettering appear slightly shadowed or split, can transform an ordinary coin into a museum-worthy specimen. Certain planchet errors, like improperly mixed metals or clipped edges, have fetched auction prices that defy logic. In one famous instance, a 2015 cent featuring a die break on Lincoln's cheek, a cracked skull pattern, sold for a mid-five-figure sum. Another, perfectly uncirculated with flawless luster, authenticated by a top grading service as MS-69, crossed the $450,000 threshold. And yet, most people will handle such coins and never look twice. That's the haunting beauty of numismatics. The possibility that extraordinary fortune might rest unnoticed in your pocket. It's easy to think this happens to other people, the lucky ones. But in truth, luck favors those who look closer. Ask any seasoned collector and they'll tell you, the greatest treasures aren't found, they're recognized. The human eye, once trained to see subtle variations in strike, toning, or design, begins to notice what others miss. That's why the most successful coin investors treat their collections not as hobbies, but as living portfolios, hybrids of art, history, and tangible assets. In recent years, auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have witnessed record-breaking bids for modern Lincoln cents once considered too common to be noteworthy. The market is evolving. What was once dismissed as pocket change has become a canvas of potential. But here's something most people overlook. Value isn't static. A coin's worth breathes and shifts with time, just like the economy or the emotions of the people who covet it. When nostalgia rises, so does demand. When stories spread of rare cents found in junk drawers or old coffee cans, the psychology of scarcity ignites. That's the invisible current driving this market. The 2015 no mint mark. Lincoln cent represents a paradox, a coin so common it's rare. Because out of billions produced, only a handful possess the precise combination of condition, error, and timing that makes them legendary. It's a quiet reminder that wealth often hides where the impatient never think to look. Consider this. In the early 20th century, few collectors cared about modern coins. They chased ancient Roman pieces, Morgan dollars, or gold eagles. But as time passed, the modern became vintage, and today's overlooked coins became tomorrow's grails. The same arc of history is unfolding. Again, right now, with coins like the 2015 Lincoln cent. What seems too new to matter may one day become the defining collectible of our age, and those who hold them, grade them, and preserve them today may become the storytellers of tomorrow. Here's a question that might keep you up tonight. How many 2015 cents have passed through your hands in the last 10 years? 10, 100, 1,000? And how many did you actually look at? If even one had the telltale signs, a slightly doubled liberty, a minute die crack crossing Lincoln's collar, a mirror-like finish untouched by circulation, you might have unknowingly held a small fortune. It's a humbling thought. And it's why collectors call coin hunting the most democratic form of treasure hunting in America. Anyone can participate. Anyone can win. But there's another, quieter reason people chase these coins. It's not just about money. It's about meaning. Each coin is a survivor, a relic of craftsmanship, commerce, and the unseen hands that shaped it. Holding one connects you to a lineage of mint workers, engravers, and dreamers. To Abraham Lincoln himself, whose image reminds us that greatness often comes from humble beginnings. In a world increasingly digital and disposable, these coins anchor us to something tangible, something that resists time. Some collectors describe the moment they find a rare specimen as almost spiritual. The heart quickens. The hands tremble slightly. It's not greed, it's revelation. That moment transforms a person from a casual spender into a keeper of history. And once you experience it, you'll never look at a handful of change the same way again, because every coin has a voice. And sometimes, if you listen closely enough, it whispers your fortune. So what should you look for if you're curious about your own 2015 Lincoln cents? Start with the basics. No mint mark on the obverse under the date. Examine Lincoln's profile carefully under magnification. Look for doubling in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Check the fields for cracks or cuds, tiny raised blobs of metal that reveal a fractured die. Inspect the reverse for anomalies in the shield lines or the letters of E pluribus unum. And above all, condition matters. Coins untouched by circulation, still gleaming with original mint luster, carry immense premiums. Store them properly, handle them gently, and if you believe you found something special, have it graded by a trusted third-party service. That single decision, encapsulating your coin, can transform a discovery into a legacy, because that's what this journey is really about. Legacy. For many collectors, rare coins are not just investments, they're time capsules of personal significance. Passed down to children or grandchildren, they carry stories richer than any digital asset could ever convey. A coin minted in 2015 might one day sit beside century-old specimens, representing an era when America still minted its faith, its ideals, and its artistry into copper. And if you're the one who preserved it, your name becomes part of that lineage. The market value, $477,000, is staggering, yes. But the real value lies in what it symbolizes. The possibility that fortune still favors the observant, that wealth and wonder still exist in the smallest places, and that our past continues to reward those who look deeper. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or find an old jar of coins in the attic, don't rush to spend it. Hold each coin for a moment. Let your thumb trace the edges. Look closer, because somewhere, perhaps right now, another collector is doing the same and finding a treasure the world forgot. And maybe, just maybe, your 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent is waiting to tell its story. All it needs is someone patient enough to listen. Strange, isn't it? That something minted by the millions could hide a secret worth more than most homes in America. Tonight, we're going to uncover the truth behind the 2017 Philadelphia Mint Lincoln 1-cent coin, the first in over 2 centuries to bear a small, unassuming P mint mark. And why a select few of these coins have stunned collectors, investors, and even auction houses with astronomical valuations. Because in numismatics, history has a way of repeating itself, and fortune tends to favor those who can read the pattern before the rest of the world wakes up to it. It began quietly in early 2017. The United States Mint announced something subtle, almost trivial, to commemorate its 225th anniversary. For the first time in history, the Philadelphia Mint would place its P mark on the Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin, a simple gesture of pride. Or so it seemed, until collectors noticed something unusual. These coins, though struck by the billions, weren't quite all the same. Under magnification, a few showed minute variations, doubled letters, irregularities in Lincoln's profile, and microscopic die clashes that hinted at production anomalies. To the casual observer, these were imperfections, but to the discerning eye of a numismatist, they were signatures, hidden fingerprints of history, encoded in copper and zinc. And as stories of rare 2017 P cents began circulating online and in collector forums, one auction changed everything. A pristine example, exhibiting a near-perfect strike, shimmering luster and a recognized die variety, sold for an astonishing $472,000. Numismatic world stood still. 1-cent coin, the very symbol of everyday currency, had just defied logic. But how could something so common become so rare so quickly? To understand, we have to step back into the psychology of collecting. You see, value in the world of coins isn't born from rarity alone. It's born from story. The 2017 Philadelphia Lincoln 1-cent coin isn't just metal. It's the first and only penny in American history to wear the Philadelphia Mint's identity on its face. For over 2 centuries, Philadelphia, the oldest of the U.S. mints, produced coins without marking them. They were the silent creators, the anonymous craftsmen of American currency. Until 2017, when tradition bent ever so slightly and history wrote a new chapter, collectors understood instantly. This wasn't just a design change. It was a pivot in American numismatic heritage, and as always, where history turns, money follows. But here's the twist. Not every 2017 P coin carries a fortune. In fact, the vast majority are worth exactly what they say they are. 1 cent. So why do a select few reach astronomical heights? The answer lies in condition, error, and provenance. Let's start with condition. A coin graded at the top of the mint state scale, say MS-68 or MS-69, is a masterpiece of preservation. The edges remain razor sharp, Lincoln's cheek shows no trace of contact, and the fields gleam with mirror-like brilliance. Such perfection is rare, even fresh from mint rolls. Then comes error, the accidental artistry of minting. A slight misalignment, a doubled date, Or an off-center strike can transform a cent into a six-figure anomaly. And finally, provenance, where the coin's story intertwines with its discoverer. The first known example of a major variety, verified and encapsulated by an authority like PCGS or NGC, can ignite bidding wars fueled by ego, pride, and the hunger for legacy. Collectors aren't just buying coins, they're buying immortality. Think about it. Every rare coin that crosses an auction block carries a name. The King Farouk specimen, the Eliasberg collection, the Norweb family cent. To have your name attached to a six-figure rarity is to leave a mark deeper than ink or stone. It's to be written into the chronicles of American wealth, and so the 2017 P. Lincoln cent became more than just a penny. It became a vessel for legacy, for hope, and for the eternal human dream of finding fortune where others see none. But let's return to that $472,000 figure. It seems impossible, doesn't it? After all, this isn't an 1804 silver dollar or a 1933 double eagle. It's a coin you might have unknowingly spent on a cup of coffee. Yet here's the paradox. Modern rarities often outperform ancient ones. Precisely because they shouldn't exist, we expect 18th century coins to be valuable. But when a 2017 issue, minted in our own lifetime, breaks records, it triggers a collector's deepest instinct. If that one exists, maybe another is out there, and that, my friend, is how legends are born. Imagine the scene. Somewhere in Middle America, a retiree empties a drawer of forgotten change. He notices a 2017 Lincoln 1 cent with an unusually sharp P. He sets it aside, curious. Weeks later, curiosity turns to astonishment as he discovers that faint doubling under the date. A feature identical to the high-grade rarity sold at auction, his humble penny, once a part of everyday circulation, now sits under a microscope at a certification lab, awaiting judgment, and as he waits, he dreams, not of riches alone, but of legacy. Because owning such a coin isn't just about profit. It's about being part of a story that future collectors will whisper about. Here's a question for you. How many of these coins have you already handled? How many have slipped through your fingers, dismissed as change too small to care about? That's the haunting beauty of numismatics. Opportunity often hides in plain sight. The 2017 P. Lincoln cent reminds us that value isn't always visible. It's hidden in details and craftsmanship, in the courage to look closer when everyone else looks away. Market trends reflect this truth. Over the past decade, modern rarities have surged in value faster than many classic coins. Collectors in their 30s and 40s, digital natives who grew up after the golden age of silver coinage, are now gravitating toward coins minted in their own lifetimes. Why? Because nostalgia sells. The same emotional current that fuels vintage car markets and retro collectibles is reshaping coin collecting. People don't just want to own history anymore. They want to own the history they remember, and that makes the 2017 penny the perfect storm, modern, memorable, and marvelously misunderstood. Of course, the cynics will say, it's still just a penny. They said the same about the 1943 bronze cent, too, until one sold for $1.7 million. They said it about the 1955 doubled die Lincoln cent, now a museum piece commanding small fortunes. Every generation has its sleeper coin, the one that humbles the skeptics. And for ours, it may very well be the 2017 Philadelphia Lincoln 1 cent. So what should a modern collector do? First, study, but not just books. Study the market. Notice the patterns, how attention shifts, how stories spread, how one viral auction reshapes perceived value overnight. Second, inspect your coins. Invest in magnification tools, learn to identify die varieties, and understand minting anomalies. You don't need thousands to start. You need patience, precision, and passion. Third, protect your finds. Condition is the silent killer of coin value. One careless fingerprint can cost a fortune. Handle your coins like artifacts of a civilization you deeply respect, because that's exactly what they are. There's a quiet poetry in this world of metal and mint marks. Each coin carries the fingerprint of time, the hiss of the press, The spark of copper meeting dye, the human hand that caught it in change. And somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary cents, one still waits. Unnoticed, untouched, its surfaces shimmering under the right light. A perfect relic of the year America's oldest mint finally signed its name. Maybe that coin rests in a jar beside your bed. Maybe it's buried beneath a decade of receipts in your glove compartment, or maybe it's yet to find you. But when it does, remember, history doesn't always announce itself with trumpets. Sometimes it whispers through the smallest things. A letter P no one thought to look for, a glint of copper that changes everything. So, the next time you see a 2017 Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Ask yourself, what story does this coin want to tell? Is it just one more penny? Or is it the next $472,000 miracle waiting for the right eyes to notice? In the end, numismatics isn't about luck. It's about awareness. It's about seeing what others overlook and believing that greatness can emerge from the humblest of origins. And that's why, to collectors, this isn't just currency. It's a key, a tangible link to the past, and perhaps a doorway to fortune, because sometimes the smallest coin holds the biggest secret. Yes, a 2018 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint. A coin so common that billions were produced. And yet, one specific specimen has been valued at nearly $500,000. How could a coin worth a single cent transform into a financial and historical marvel worth $465,000? And more importantly, could one be hiding in your pocket right now? In the vast ocean of American coinage, the Lincoln cent is the most familiar face. First struck in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, it became the longest-running coin design in United States history. Millions of Americans have held it, spent it, even ignored it. But beneath that copper-plated surface lies a story of transformation, of how a coin once considered trivial became an emblem of patience, legacy, and wealth. The 2018 D Lincoln 1-cent coin is no exception. Over 6 billion were minted that year at the Denver facility, their polished dies striking day and night to meet circulation demands. To most people, these coins were indistinguishable from one another. But among collectors, the quiet observers of detail, the seekers of perfection, whispers began to spread. Something was different. A few sharp-eyed hobbyists noticed a peculiar shimmer, a misalignment, an imperfection that seemed almost intentional. Under magnification, a small group of 2018 D cents revealed anomalies in their die strike, tiny doubling on Lincoln's ear, uneven lettering, faint ghosting near the motto, "In God We Trust." To the untrained eye, nothing unusual. To the numismatist, it was a revelation. But how does such a microscopic flaw lead to a six-figure valuation? It comes down to scarcity, condition, and the human instinct to possess what others cannot. Rarity is not always born from age. It can emerge from error. When a minting press strikes coins under pressure and the die shifts by even the width of a hair, the result is an accidental masterpiece. And in the modern era, where minting precision is nearly absolute, true mistakes have become almost mythical. One coin, certified by experts and authenticated for its unique die pattern, surfaced at a private auction. Its condition was flawless, graded among the finest known. The final bid, $465,000. The room fell silent, then erupted in disbelief. A 1-cent piece, struck in 2018, now rivaled the price of an American muscle car or a suburban home. Think about that for a moment. A coin minted less than a decade ago, one you might have dismissed as pocket change, became a symbol of wealth creation, patience, and discovery. But this isn't just about money. It's about perception. The way we look at the ordinary and ask ourselves, what if I'm holding history in my hand and don't even know it? That question has haunted collectors for generations. It's what drives someone to examine every coin, to turn over every piece of currency under a bright desk lamp, to study the faintest line and letter. Now here's something most people don't realize. The Denver Mint, where this coin originated, has a long history of producing near-perfect strikes. It's known for efficiency, precision, and consistency, traits that make any error piece exponentially more valuable. Because when perfection is the standard, imperfection becomes gold. The 2018 D-cent's rise in value sparked a wave of curiosity across the country. Everyday people began checking their change again. Metal detectors buzzed across backyards and parks. Online forums lit up with close-up photographs, magnifiers in focus, hearts pounding as individuals hoped they might be the next discoverer. That collective excitement, that thrill of the hunt, is what keeps the numismatic world alive. It's not just collecting coins. It's collecting stories, fragments of time preserved in metal. But why does this coin, in particular, captivate even seasoned investors? Because it breaks the rules. Traditionally, collectors chase age and history, colonial pieces, Civil War issues, early mint runs. Yet here is a 2018 cent-defying logic, proving that even modern coins can yield extraordinary returns. It challenges assumptions, forcing every serious numismatist to reconsider what they think they know about value. And here's a secret that insiders understand. The coin market mirrors emotion more than economics. When a discovery captures the public imagination, demand surges. Prices rise not merely because of rarity, but because of the narrative that accompanies it. That's why the story of the 2018 D-cent continues to spread like folklore. A tale that combines human error, modern precision, and the eternal allure of what if. At this point, you might be wondering, how do you know if you found one? Here's where attention to detail separates casual hobbyists from true collectors. Experts recommend examining the 2018 D Lincoln 1-cent coin under 10x magnification. Look closely at Lincoln's ear for doubling or shadowing. Inspect the D mint mark. Any sign of shifting, misplacement, or distortion could mean you're looking at a valuable variation. Even the texture of the fields, that smooth surface surrounding Lincoln's portrait, can reveal striking differences caused by dye fatigue. But remember, condition reigns supreme. Coins that have circulated, rubbed against keys and countertops, lose value quickly. Those preserved in mint state, untouched and brilliant red in hue, command the highest premiums. Collectors often describe the thrill of finding such a coin as electric, a rush of adrenaline followed by disbelief. One moment you're holding a penny. The next, you're holding a piece of numismatic legend. Yet the greatest lesson here isn't just about profit. It's about perspective. The reminder that value often hides beneath the surface, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Here's a fascinating historical parallel. In 1943, during World War II, a few copper Lincoln cents were accidentally struck when steel blanks were meant to be used to save copper for ammunition. Only a handful survived. Today, those wartime errors can fetch over $1 million each. They were mistakes, yet they became masterpieces. The 2018 D-cent follows that same mysterious lineage. A modern echo of the past, born from a moment of imperfection that transformed into legacy. So what does this mean for the future of coin collecting? Market analysts and veteran dealers have noticed a trend, a growing interest in post-2000 mint issues. Younger collectors are entering the market, drawn by stories like this one, where rarity isn't defined by centuries but by anomalies hidden right under our noses. Meanwhile, older investors are rediscovering the joy of the hunt, checking rolls from banks, buying sealed mint bags, hoping to uncover that once-in-a-lifetime find. It's a revival of passion and purpose. A reminder that wealth isn't just accumulated. It's discovered through curiosity, patience, and the willingness to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. But there's one more secret about this coin, one that even some collectors overlook, the 2018 D. Lincoln 1-cent piece embodies the evolution of American minting itself. Its copper-plated zinc composition, its laser-polished dies, its high-speed striking, all represent the pinnacle of technological precision. Yet even in that precision, human error remains possible. That paradox, perfection birthing imperfection, gives the coin its mystique. It's a physical metaphor for the American story. Constant striving, occasional misstep, ultimate greatness. Imagine holding such a coin. The weight feels insignificant, yet in your palm rests the potential to alter your financial path. You could sell it, invest it, or hold it as a family heirloom, a tangible reminder that fortune favors the observant. For some, that's the greatest reward of all, not the profit, but the story. A legacy passed down, proof that patience and passion can transform something as small as a cent into something priceless. Here's a question worth asking. What if? Right now, the next $1 million coin is already in circulation, hidden among billions, waiting for someone just like you to recognize it? Would you take a closer look at your change? Would you trust your instincts enough to search, to question, to believe that something rare still hides in plain sight? Because the truth is, the thrill of discovery never disappears. Not in coins, not in life. It's the quiet belief that the world still holds secrets, and that one of them might just find its way into your hands. The 2018 D. Lincoln. 1-cent coin isn't just a story of monetary value, it's a story of possibility. A reminder that even the smallest things can carry immense power when seen through the eyes of curiosity and respect for history. So the next time you hear that familiar clink of coins in your palm, pause for a moment. Look closer. Because among those everyday tokens of exchange, there might be a symbol of fortune, a fragment of history, and perhaps your own legacy. After all, every great discovery begins the same way, with someone daring enough to ask, could this be the one? And maybe, just maybe, it is. Every collector remembers that first whisper. Maybe it was a gleam on a weathered wheat reverse coin from the early 1900s, or the faint mint mark beneath Lincoln's shoulder that set your pulse racing. It's a feeling of connection, to history, to chance, to something larger than metal and mintage numbers. But what makes a modern coin, a coin minted barely 5 years ago, command a market value as astonishing as $459,000? To understand that, we need to trace the quiet storm brewing inside America's coin-collecting world, where rarity is no longer measured only by age, but by anomaly and perfection. In 2020, the Denver Mint produced over 4 billion Lincoln 1-cent coins. That's a staggering number. More than enough for every man, woman, and child in the country to hold over a dozen of them. At a glance, none seem special. The design is familiar. Lincoln's resolute profile, "In God We Trust" curving above, liberty on the left, and the date marking its birth year. Yet among those billions, a handful, perhaps fewer than a dozen, escaped with something extraordinary, a microscopic error, a minting mishap so subtle, so unassuming, that it took sharp-eyed collectors to even notice. Some bear doubled features in the inscriptions. Others show abnormal die strikes, ghostly shadows beneath Lincoln's jawline, or minute die cracks that shimmer under magnification like lightning frozen in copper. And when one of those elusive pieces surfaces, graded pristine by top-tier certification services, it transcends face value, crossing into the realm of 6 figures. Imagine that. A single cent, flawless in strike and preserved in time, auctioned for the price of a supercar. But this isn't just a story about a coin. It's about the psychology of discovery, because every collector, whether seasoned or new, shares that same restless curiosity. What if the next coin in my pocket is the one? It's not greed, it's the thrill of uncovering something almost no one else can see. In a world obsessed with digital wealth and fleeting trends, coin collecting remains one of the last tangible adventures. You can hold history literally in your palm, and for those who understand the subtle dance of scarcity and desire, even modern coins, like the 20x20 Denver Lincoln cent, hold potential beyond imagination. Let's rewind for a moment. Why did this small copper-plated zinc coin even capture such attention? To grasp that, we have to consider how numismatic markets evolve. In the mid-20th century, collectors sought coins from the 1800s, large cents, early silver dollars, coins with romantic age and patina. But today, markets shift rapidly. Modern rarity, especially error coins and high-grade specimens, have become the new frontier. Technology has allowed minting precision to reach astonishing levels, which ironically means when something does go wrong, it becomes an instant sensation. It's like finding a fingerprint in a world of identical clones. Some collectors speculate that the 2020 Lincoln Cents mystique grew after several examples appeared in near-perfect MS-69 condition, displaying razor-sharp edges and luster so pure it seemed proof-like. Graders and dealers were stunned. How could a circulation coin from an industrial minting run possess such perfection? Auctions followed. Prices soared. And as word spread through online collector communities and numismatic forums, the coin took on an almost mythic status, a modern miracle hiding in plain sight. But there's something deeper here, something psychological. Collectors often talk about legacy. Coins, unlike digital assets or stock portfolios, don't vanish with market crashes or server outages. They endure. They pass through generations. An old collector once said, "Coins don't just tell history, they carry it." And maybe that's what drives people to obsess over coins like the 2020 cent. Not just because of its potential value, but because it represents possibility. It reminds us that greatness can emerge from the most ordinary places, that even a 1-cent coin struck by machine and ignored by millions can one day become a national conversation. Here's a thought. How many of us have unknowingly held one? How many have spent a fortune in fortune's disguise, sliding that small copper coin across a counter for a cup of coffee, never knowing its true worth? It's a haunting idea. The same way, decades ago, people spent 1943 copper cents and 1955 doubled die cents without a second glance. History repeats itself, not through coincidence, but through our collective blindness to the extraordinary hiding in the everyday. But to those who pay attention, the rewards can be life-changing. Consider the collector in Kansas who found a flawless 2020 Lincoln cent in a sealed bankroll. He wasn't a dealer, not even a professional numismatist, just a man who loved history and detail. He noticed something different about the coin's finish, submitted it for grading, and received one of the highest possible designations. When it hit the auction block, the room fell silent. The final hammer price, nearly $500,000, a single cent transformed into a generational asset. That's not luck. That's awareness. And yet, the real story isn't just about money. It's about what drives the human spirit to collect, to seek, to preserve. Behind every valuable coin lies a chain of choices. The mint worker who struck it, the person who first pocketed it, the collector who recognized its uniqueness, the auctioneer who told its story. Together, they form a quiet lineage of discovery. When you collect coins, you're not just investing, you're curating fragments of civilization. Every mint mark, every die variety, every imperfection tells of human endeavor meeting mechanical precision. And that's what makes this hobby, this pursuit, unlike any other. So, what should you do if you suspect you found one of these elusive 2020 Denver minted Lincoln cents? First, don't clean it, ever. The natural surface, known as the original mint luster, is sacred in numismatics. A gentle wipe can erase thousands in value. Second, examine the details. Look for sharpness in Lincoln's hairlines, clarity in the inscriptions, and an absence of bag marks or scratches. High magnification can reveal doubled lettering or faint die cracks, tiny imperfections that can make all the difference. Third, if you're convinced it might be special, submit it to a reputable grading service. The certification process not only verifies authenticity, but establishes market trust. Because in today's numismatic landscape, a coin's story is only as powerful as its documentation, and here's where the mystery deepens. Experts still debate how many of these high-value 2020 cents exist. Some claim fewer than a dozen. Others whisper of hidden hoards, sealed rolls in small-town banks, untouched since 2020. Collectors talk in hushed tones about sightings, rumored private sales, and anonymous bids on auction platforms. Is it hype? Perhaps. But hype has always been the shadow twin of history. After all, even the most legendary coins, the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel, began as whispers in backrooms before they became icons, and maybe that's the real allure. Not the money, not the fame, but the feeling that somewhere, tucked inside a dusty coin jar or an unopened bankroll. History is waiting for you to notice it. The 2020 D. Lincoln cent is a reminder that our modern world still has mysteries left to uncover. That value can exist where we least expect it, and that fortune often favors the patient observer, because collecting isn't about chance, it's about vision. The ability to see beyond what everyone else overlooks. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sift through spare change, pause for a moment. Look closer. That dull copper coin with the faint D beneath the date could be a ticket to something extraordinary. But even if it isn't, the act of looking, the curiosity itself, is what keeps this ancient hobby alive. Each coin is a story, a secret, a sliver of the American experiment immortalized in metal. And maybe that's worth more than any auction price. Somewhere out there, another collector is doing the same, flipping coins under a lamp, holding a magnifier to Lincoln's quiet face, wondering if this is the one. The thrill never fades. The search never ends, because every coin, no matter how common, carries the silent promise of discovery. And sometimes, when luck, history, and perception align, a simple cent from the Denver Mint becomes a symbol of something far greater, not just wealth, but legacy.